lockdown going so far? Any big successes anyone wants to share? Anyone feel like they're really hitting a stride, or any big challenges? Yes, ma'am. Jan?
I'm really on the school of Whitney. Like, if I don't absolutely want that iced soy chai, I don't absolutely have to have it. I don't have it. And when you think I was having one every day,
Good.
on end.
Yeah,
Good.
that was
So how many a week do you have now?
I haven't had one.
Nice.
No, I've had one, but not from
All
not
right.
from Starbucks.
Right on.
So yeah, I kind of like went cold turkey, and I'm feeling really good about myself.
Good. Good.
And what?
saving the planet.
All right. So the big things I want to talk about today. Well, the big thing I want you guys to talk about first is challenges, right? And then we'll spend a little bit of time also on going over like accountability, because I think that's the big piece going forward, right? So we've hit it strong for a month, right? Kind of breaking down the progression again. We talked first session about, just like what is food? How do we use it? How can it help? How can we abuse it, right? Just like, hey, big picture stuff. And we broke down into, okay, what are the goals that you have? Like, and be specific, because if you, select goals that that aren't clear or that you don't care about, right, it's hard to actually, you got to know where you're going. You got to have that roadmap, right? And we talked about the habits that you have to develop to get to your goal, right? Using the power of habits to our advantage. So now, let's first start off by some of the challenges you guys have faced in building those habits. All right. So, does anyone want to start? I can start, because I had a goal to increase my recovery, right? And one of those habits was get a lot more micronutrients, right? So increase my vegetable, and that was just the one area I decided. I mean, there's different ways to do it, but mine was like, okay, I can definitely put more veggies, like be more purposeful with my veggies in my diet. But I would prefer to go over stuff that you guys have. So who has a challenge that they want to work through?
I don't know that my challenge my challenge is that for some reason I'm so task driven that if I don't say, okay, this is exactly what I'm going to eat today, and I veer from that, my mind is telling me, oh, you still need to eat more, you still need to eat more, when I don't know that I really needed to. So I don't know that there's a fix for that.
Let's back up, go back up this step progression. So what was your goal?
Well, my goal just overall is to do the Spartan race and then to drop some body fat.
Okay.
I don't know what percentage because I don't really know what I'm capable
Right.
of, but I wanted to see that at least decrease when I go in September.
Okay.
1%, 2%, whatever.
Okay, perfect. And we won't go through the whole, obviously, you want to dig in a little bit more than that as to far as the why and all that stuff. But okay, so what was the one habit? And again, there's probably 5 to 10 we could all do. For me, increasing recovery, that could be numerous things. But what was the one habit you wanted to work on initially for the first 2 to 4 weeks? What was the one habit you wanted to build to work on dropping body fat percentage?
Get my 75 ounces of water every day and work out, get care 4 days a week, and then do 2 other active days.
Okay.
That was
So
what
you're
I did at first, and then I was trying to move into more of the food, getting
right.
more focused on the food.
Okay. So do you feel like you've already built the habit for hydration? Do you feel that's just natural? Okay, perfect. So habit 1, boom. Do you feel like the exercise, you've gotten that? That's habit? Okay, perfect. And then so what was your specific habit you wanted to tackle on the nutrition piece, on the food side of things?
Just to not go to the things that are going to not help me reach my goal.
Okay. So let me stop you actually right there. But we dig more into it. So I think that was really good. Thank you for sharing, because as I'm listening to Christy's goals, right, and this is a big one for a lot of us as we're honest with yourself, I think your biggest challenge when you're talking about building your habits is you're lacking focus, right? It's very big picture, and you're trying to take off this huge piece of I need to eat better, and what was it that you just said? I need to avoid the things that are going to eliminate. That could be countless things. So that might be one challenge that you have when you're building a habit is it's way too broad, right? So when you think more about, in Christy's case, I'll be like, that's where you got to dig in and say, okay, what really are the things that I have to attack? Am I eating too many processed foods, right? Am I not eating enough vegetables, right? It's getting into the real, and there's probably like 5 things, right? We could probably all come up with like 5 to 10 things, right? Jens, you doing this, drinking your soy chai lattes was not like the only thing. Like we had talked about it. There was like snacking at work, there are other things. But when we talk about building the habit, just pick one, right? And attack that and be very, very, very specific because you're very, very broad. So you want to focus in, right? Make your list. Make the list of all 10 things that you think are realistic, right? But just then list them in order. And it's like, okay, number 1 first. And I'm working on number 1 until it's a habit, right? So Jan, it's like, boom, soy chai latte, like that. I'm working, like, whether it's 1 a week or Jan just went straight cold turkey, right? I mean, that works for some people. I try not to recommend it. Like, I would just recommend a more, a less extreme approach. But it's fine if it works for you. Like, and I say, I just don't recommend that because I'm going to default to the more balanced approach. But it works for a ton of people. And then Jan, once she's like, okay, I don't even, like, it's, a month down the road, she's like, I don't even think about it anymore. Okay, perfect. Now let's start talking about the vending machine at work when you're stressed, okay? Let's now develop some healthy habits for attacking that. You know what I mean? So I think that's a big challenge. And you're not the only one. We all can get really, really focused. Like even mine, right? I need to eat, it was like, I don't remember. It was 3, I'm going to make sure I'm eating 3, so increase my vegetable content like 3 full cups of vegetables a day, right? But I could probably even get more specific and be like, okay, I usually get some vegetables at dinner, right? So it's lunch. So I need to build a habit of doing it more at lunch because that's usually where I'm lacking, and I just don't have the time to like cook up vegetables for breakfast. So lunch is really where I need to focus in, lunch and the snacks, on getting more vegetables in at that point. So that would be so even with mine, it can be even more and more focused. So focus it in and get as narrow as you can so you can really hit that habit and then attack into the next one. So did you have a comment, Jan?
I was just going to say about cold turkey, it's like what I tell myself is, well, you can have this, but do you really, really want it like right now? And to make a decision instead of like, I was getting up in the morning, okay, what road am I going to take to Starbucks?
Right.
Which Starbucks is the easiest drive-through? So maybe just saying to yourself, well, I can do this. I give myself permission, but I am choosing not to.
Yeah, and what was the article Gina posted at the very beginning of the challenge, the lockdown? It
bright
was
lines.
Bright lines. I think if you're smart about how you use those bright lines, and go back and read the article, I don't want to spend too much time on it, but it's like, would anyone ever tell like I want to be careful with this, but like you would never tell like an alcoholic, like, well, you should just learn to drink in moderation. Like if an alcoholic's like, I just don't drink, right? Or like there's certain things like, you'd be like, or like, it's probably a better example is smoking, right? Like, I just don't smoke cigarettes. Like, you could easily smoke cigarettes in moderation and probably not get lung cancer. You know what I mean? Like, you could, but like, there's very real neural pathways that are lit up, right? The reward center brain that are lit up by the food science industry. I mean, they are literally, it's like Omar was saying, was everyone here for Omar's talk on Wednesday? I mean, like, people are getting paid. I mean, their entire job is to make you eat more of their food. Like, it's going to light up the brain, similar to the way that certain drugs have on it. So if you can be smart about it, I think you can change that approach and be like, I just don't drink soda, right? Or I just don't do, you need to be smart about it. Like, I do not eat cake unless it's at a birthday party or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, again, focus in. Like, don't say I never eat sweets, right? Because then that's probably hard to have balance. But like we were talking about with Chrissy, like focusing in and be like I'm not going to eat this unless it's, a family event, or like I just don't eat donuts. Like I'll do a dessert, but it's going to be, quality, not just crap. You know what I mean? So yeah, so that's so I think you can definitely have those bright lines or cold turkey or whatever we call it. I mean, you can say those things, right? Because no one's going to say, same thing with soda. No one's going to make the argument like, I don't drink soda. Okay, fine, cool, perfect. That's good. There's nothing wrong with that. That's just something you don't do. There's no practical purpose for it. So a little bit off topic there, but it's another good approach. Again, just really focusing in what you are doing. Who else has a specific challenge implementing a habit, or just challenge in general?
So, I mean, I have health and vanity reasons for participating in this, but also I may have to have some back surgery, so I'm trying to keep like my eye on the prize, and we set some workout goals, and I write it down, and there are days when I'm like, and I'm like, well, Josiah said today is a walking day, so I guess I better get out and walk. I feel a sense of accountability to the commitment that you help me set, and there's days I don't want to do it, but I'm trying to keep my eye on the prize. What?
There are many days that I want to do. I was just like, go,
There are many days.
So your challenge is, you've been successful with your challenge so far, but your challenge is keeping yourself accountable?
Keep myself accountable and keeping my eye on the reason that I'm doing it, and that I'm not going to see the kind of improvement that I want and have the strength that I want to go through whatever's coming up if I don't do it.
For sure. That was a lot of what I wanted to spend a lot of time on towards the end of the session here today, which is like setting up accountability, like going forward. Does everyone feel, so let's take a step back and then we'll definitely hit into that, Jan. Does everyone feel like they have, well, big picture, are there still like concerns about what food is, how it plays into, what are the positive uses, negative uses, how it plays into your goals? We're all, for the most part, I think there's always new information coming out, but I think we pretty much have good grasp on that. Okay. Does everyone here feel like they have a good grasp on what your goals are? They're smart, specific, measurable, attainable, results-driven, time-bound, okay? Everyone knows why they want to do their goal, and again, you don't have to say it to me, but right, knowing why you have the goal that you do, okay? Does everyone know, well, you have now a better idea of how to start attacking your next habit, though, getting much more focused with it, and list them all out. List out all the things you think that you could develop better habits on, right? But then pick, and then rank them. Okay, if I can only do one, which is the most important, okay? After that, which one am I going to do? Anyone else feel like they have any other challenges developing the habits or picking the correct habit or anything like that? Everyone's good? You're good? You got it all locked in?
Yep, my habit is to stop, it's hard to stop eating when I'm full. I heard somebody said you should quit eating when you take the first deep breath at a meal. And I was like, well, I don't ever take a deep breath at a meal. And then I paid attention, and there'll be some point where you're eating and you're like, and I was like, oh, yeah. And it's like a little ways in, and ever since then, it's this natural, and usually it's so good, you keep shoving it into your face.
So your habit is portion control,
Portion
stopping.
control, yeah.
And Jason brings up, he made me think about a real good thought as well. Let's say, Jan just went boom, cold turkey. That's probably not such a great example. But with Jason's too, let's just hit his, stop eating when you're full, right? Mm-hmm. So break it up into steps, right? So the first thing you might want to do is, break your habit into steps. Yeah, you got to notice it, right? So what do you have to do before you notice it? Maybe your first step to building that habit is, I need to slow down. Yes, I just need to slow down while I'm eating. I normally eat lunch in 10 minutes. Okay, I've got to at least I'm going to take 15 minutes. You know what I mean? It can get really it can get almost redundant. But I think why a lot of people struggle to develop their habits, or I would say they don't even get the habit built, is because they skip these steps. And it's you gotta put it one step builds on top of each other. So you gotta slow down. Okay, you slow down once you started that habit of just eating slower. Now it's like Emily said. Now you're paying attention. okay? You're more focused in on your food. So now you can really dial in, okay, now that I notice I take, like you know, what you're doing, I've taken that big breath, okay, now I stop. But it's not, you know, so think about that when you're focused on it, and the food habit that you're gonna build, Christy, is what are the steps that I need to take to get there? Because a lot of times we just be like, okay, I need to cut down my portions, and it's like, well, all right, if my plate normally looks like this, it needs to look like this. And maybe that works, but I mean, a lot of times there's these steps that we can put into it. So, all right, cool. Anyone else with habits? Any challenges? Feeling good on those? All right, accountability. Does anyone else have an accountability example they want to add into the one that Jan mentioned? Who struggles with accountability from time to time? Okay. So I want one more example. It's easier for me to talk about it when I have someone else's challenge on accountability. Does anyone want to share?
Mine has lowered my blood sugar, and it's hard to be accountable for that, but it would be good if I knew, you know, if I had somebody to be accountable for, like,
Okay.
did you overindulge in carbs, or did you drink, you know,
Right.
3 glasses of wine instead of 1 glass of wine? And
So we're
all
gonna do the
things that I know,
same exact thing. We're gonna do the same process that you guys are gonna be really, really good at basically reverse engineering from your goal. Okay, so goal is to lower blood sugar, make it a SMART goal. We don't need to get into that now, but get more specific, put some time on it. Okay, so what are the habits that you're trying to build to lower
lower
your
my
blood sugar?
carb intake and lower. I think the 2 things that fuel it the most are, you know, obviously carbs and sugar, and that was my main goal, is to take out any processed sugar at least 5 days a week. Check box on everything, don't add it, and everything else.
Okay.
I had like 5 things, but then you told me that was too many.
Right. Yes, and just real quick, because we've been getting into this like already, and it's just our natural mindset with all the goals we've been talking about. It's like, I need to get rid of this, get rid of this, get rid of this.
Right.
Remember, think, what can we add in as well? What can we do? So, you know, don't forget to add in, you know, fiber with every meal, and, you know, helping with those blood sugar spikes as well. So, but let's talk about the pick one of those 2. Sugar.
The sugar is what
Okay.
That's
So you've got to get pretty good specific habit that you're working on, right? 5 days a week, okay? So, but you're saying you still struggle a little bit with the accountability of it?
Yeah, and especially because, like, it's like I need more buy-in from, you know, my life partner just hands me a candy bar and, well, here, just have 1 chocolate chip.
Right.
I'm like, come on, I
Right.
told you what I'm trying to do.
So this is really, really good. So I think, so let's get into accountability, right? Most of us are, you've got support around us, whether it's family, whether it's co-workers, right? Like wherever we spend our time, we've got, you know, the people around us in the gym, right? We all have these, you know, communities that we're part of, right? So you've got to get buy-in from the people that are close to you, right? And I think everyone always goes to like family or people that you live with, but it can just as easily be your coworkers, right? So take them through the steps that we just went through. I'm trying to lower my blood sugar. I need to do this. The why, what's the why behind your goal? I have to do this because it's critical for my health. Like if I get on, I really don't want to be on this medication for whatever reasons that you have. You say, so what I'm trying to do, this habit that I'm trying to build is not have any added sugars 5 days a week, right? And you let them know, and you get buy-in, you get support from them. Now there's always some sacrifice with that, since we're talking about your partner. So they you know, you might have to tell him, or you might have to sacrifice. You tell him that, right? And ideally, it would be helpful for you if there probably wasn't a candy bar in the house, right? Right, but right, or let's say with your family, it's like, I don't want to have potato chips, okay? Because you're gonna go from, well, like you can get buy-in from them, but like just remember, if you want them helping to support you, and you don't ever have any like good fun snacks in the house for the rest of your family, like you're probably gonna have a mutiny on your hands. So there's gotta be some. I mean, you can get their help and say like, hey, listen, I just need no chips in the house for a month or no candy bar in the house for a month while I'm building my habit. And then like have them, right, like please don't offer them to me, but like I will build the discipline, I will build the habit to not go for that when I want to, but I just need a little bit of time initially. So you've got to have them supporting you, okay? That's the first thing. And that has to be, right, you have to get the buy-in from the people close to you, whether it's work, family, whatever. The second big thing is having an accountability partner. And here's where maybe it's beneficial to not have it be a partner or family or whatever, because sometimes, you know, if you're dealing with them every day, maybe it's a little too close, or you don't feel, you know, always comfortable maybe sharing, you know, like a coworker, like you need a coworker on your support team, but maybe, you know, you don't want them to be your accountability partner. And the cool thing about the technology we have today is, you know, it can be very remote, right? I mean, it can be a phone call, it can be, you know, FaceTime, it can be something like that, emails, whatever. But having someone that is going to, that you're going to share your goals with, and then check in, and then follow up, right? Because even if you don't hit your goal, like let's say your goal is 5 days a week, right? And you know that you're going to be talking to Mary, like, hey, Mary, every, you know, Monday morning at the gym, because we come at the same class or whatever, like let's go get, you know, or let's just spend 5 minutes in the parking lot talking, like, or go get a cup of coffee or whatever, and like let you know how I did on my goals. Like, make it easy. I mean, like, if you want to get a cup of coffee, great, like, but make it mellow. Like, phone call, talk in the parking lot for 5 minutes, just like have it set up, and then be like, I didn't make my goal, right? But even if you didn't make your goal, like, you're still at least thinking about it, right? You're still on track with that habit. The accountability partner is helping, just even having to sit there and tell them, like, I made 3 days this week, I couldn't get the other 2, right? And then maybe if they have time, like, well, what happened on the other 2 days? And you're working through these things, right? And it's definitely, you know, maybe you only hit 4 days, no added sugar, but it might have been, you know, only 2 days, no added sugar, if you knew you weren't, or if you didn't have that accountability partner, you know you didn't have to talk to them. So it will help you setting things up going forward. I'm a big believer in that, right? That's why I say, like, put your goals on the Facebook, right? I mean, it's not as good as an actual accountability partner, but it's out there. It's like, I said I was going to do it. It's a little bit harder to go back on it. It's like 2 weeks ago when I was, like, with the summer series, and no one else did their homework. I was upset about that one, guys. But it was like Sunday afternoon. It's like, all right, crap. Like, I gotta go knock out something on that list, because I told everyone that I was gonna do it and ask them on their homework. You know what I mean? Like, once you throw it out there, it's a lot harder to back out on what you commit to. All right. So, no, I'm not. Many people did. Many people looked at me like, oh yeah, summer series. I was supposed to do that. I was like, all right. But yes, Mary.
I was just gonna say, you are awesome, and I think that's really great. That accountability is the very hardest thing. Because of the technology that you mentioned, it makes it so easy. A group like this, you meet, you have whatever your specific goal is, and sometimes just a simple text for 7 of the days, a thumbs up group. So if you have 5 or 10 people in the thing, every night before you go to bed, you kind of look at that, and everyone's putting in a thumbs up, which means I did it.
And yours is like,
I got it. You have to do a thumbs down. And then you have a check-in point, like at the gym, just like you were saying, once a week where you can revamp. So that you see, you know, if someone's had 2 thumbs down, you got to revamp. Because the goal is, you know, 100%.
Right.
But then every day it's on your mind, and you know you're going to be accountable to this group of people, but you don't have to go see them, you don't have to meet them, it's just thumbs up.
Right. That's a really good idea. I think, setting up groups could be huge. Like, you know, you all here have been pretty consistent making it to these sessions, so maybe you start your own Facebook group, right? Or text chain or whatever it is, you know, and you can make it, I would say, make it very simple, like Mary's saying, like a simple thumbs up, right? Daily could be good. I mean, know what's going to work best for you. Like, a lot of times when we're building those habits, it's that stepwise fashion. So it's like, hey, no sugar 2 days a week. And then once I got that locked in, then I'm going to bump it up to Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And then 4. You know what I mean? So weekly check-ins could be good. Again, don't set yourself up to fail by biting off more than you can chew, but maybe like a monthly video conference, right? So where everyone can really chime in and be like, hey, like, this worked awesome for me, right? Because you probably, and then when it's a group that you're tight with, like, you're not going to have it's going to be easier for you to say, I'm really struggling with this. Whereas in like a setting like this, it's a little, I mean, people share way more than I would expect, but you still kind of are like, you know, a little hesitant, but if you have that group and you develop that relationship with them, it's like, man, I'm really struggling with this. Like, and someone else can be like, you know what, like this works really well for me. And you know, and video conference is nice. You can have that conversation going back and forth. You know, but that's something maybe, you know, you definitely don't want to try and do that once a week. Like I say, you'd be way more of a commitment than you probably could handle. But just some different ideas. I think it's an awesome idea, Mary, is to set up a group. So we'll have to get one set up.
Yeah, 212 is
For here,
natural way to do
Yeah,
it.
the gym, but then even like, you know, within
Yeah,
a smaller group, like specific, like, hey, we're doing the lockdown, we've got these goals, and kind of rolling from there. So, yeah, and I think that's the key for you, Jan, is, you know, group, whether it's, you know, whether it's Steve and you're like, hey, like, I have to do, like, this has got to be done, right? And again, maybe your husband isn't the best call because, you know, he might, you know, that's why I say you gotta pick someone who is comfortable enough in your relationship to tell you, hey, you didn't meet your goal. Like, what's going on? How can I help you get there? Not that they're, you know, and if it's a spouse, they're probably not gonna feel as comfortable. You know, Steve's like, well, I'm not maybe wanted to upset you, you know, because you've got that, like, I've got to, you know, like if it was me, like I'm not gonna piss Jamie off because, you know, I like having dinner at night. You know what I mean? Like you'll help, but like you're only willing to, like, you know, push so far. So that's why I say sometimes that, you know, a close friend who you have a good relationship with, who's not afraid to tell you, but like isn't there living with you every day, going to be like, because, you know, they're not going to hold you maybe as accountable as you'd like when there's that close of a relationship. But what other thoughts do you guys have on accountability? Questions? Any other good suggestions like Mary had out there? Or how does everyone feel going forward? So that was the goal for the month of June. We kind of hit all the steps I wanted to attack, right? Build our knowledge base, set up our plan, start implementing. Has everyone started implementing their plan, right? Plan your work. Now we're kind of into the work the plan phase. Everyone's working their plan now, okay? Set up, and I think the last piece then is just you've got to set up the accountability because like it's fresh. We've been doing these, you know, on a weekly basis. Like it's easy to stay motivated, right? Motivation is going to drop. Again, why habits are so important, because when motivation and willpower drop, like habits maintain. But as you're building those habits, right, it takes motivation to build your habit and willpower to build your habit. So the accountability, I think, is huge. So that's what you got to do going setting forward. Put it in the Facebook group. That's the last piece of homework I have for you, is think through over the next, you know, few days. Think through, okay, what's the plan that I'm going to do for accountability? Like, how am I going to have a weekly check-in or a nightly check-in, or, you know, so when I get to the end of July, right, and I'm about to attack that last month of the lockdown in August, right, and get ready for that Labor Day remeasure whenever you guys are doing it, like, how am I going to make sure that I'm still on point and haven't just like slid back into my old routines, right? And it's because it takes work, and a lot of us have the commitment to get there, right, and the dedication, but life gets busy, right? I mean, that's why we're here in the first place, right? I mean, if it were easy for you to have your nutrition locked in, you wouldn't be having to do a lockdown, right? But it's work, it's family, it's, you know, all these other things that take precedent and priority. I mean, and so that, you know, that nutrition or whatever gets put on the back burner. So realize that, you know, like for me, like realizing that because of work or family or whatever, like my sleep was suffering, my commitment, you know, my nutrition, it was just things slide under the radar. I'm not recovering like I want to, so I'm not able to, you know, get as many workouts in maybe as I would like. Okay, like if I really just think that all I have to do is write the goal down in the Facebook group and like now I'm good to go, like, no. And I haven't been, right? Because, probably because the why behind my goal wasn't as dialed in. My why was, well, I need a goal for the summer lockdown, right? Like I can't not do it. So it's like, well, okay, what's kind of, you know what I mean? Like I didn't have that. And that's why that's why you take it back to step one. Like you gotta care about, you gotta have a good why. You gotta have a good why, because otherwise, life catches up, and it's like, okay, back to the back burner, okay? But yeah, realizing that if I just write down a goal, is probably at some point the same stress, the same time commitments that got me there in the first place are going to come back in, And unless I have someone helping me, that you have to check in and literally say to them, hey, I did not make it this week, like, but I'm gonna get back on track, because I hate coming to you every week, Christy, and telling you that I failed on my goal. Like, it's getting old, so I'm gonna fix it. But yeah, so just set up your accountability system, and I think you guys it sounds like you guys are crushing it. So any final questions, concerns for me? All this stuff's up on I'll probably just archive the Facebook group at some point, so it'll still be up there. You'll still have access to it. I highly recommend, kind of seems like, I mean, all of you guys know each other pretty well. Maybe setting up, some groups within the relationships you already have here. Start thinking through that with your accountability homework. All the sessions that we did will be up on YouTube, so you'll have access to that as well. Because again, we just work through mine or someone else's, I don't know. But like, always taking it back. You can always cycle back around when you're struggling with those habits or the implementation, taking it back to that first step and always working through and making sure you guys are locked in where you need to be. So, yes, ma'am.
Well, one thing I wanted to mention that you really helped me with, Josiah, was instead of focusing on the things that I was going to give up, or the things that I couldn't have, or the things that I couldn't do, was you really helped me sort of reposition my thinking of the things that I needed to do. So that I need to work out, I need to have my protein in the morning, I need to eat my pistachios and some bell pepper, like focusing more on, okay, here's what I have to do today, instead of here's the deprivation that I'm going to go through today. And that really helped me shift my mindset. So thank you for that. I think that was really, I don't know if that's helpful to anybody else, but, I can't have sugar today, or I can't have chips today, or whatever. It's more like, okay, I gotta get these certain number of vegetables and these fruits and
unfortunately, I did not get that one on video, but it did get recorded, and it's up on the website. So there's the link to that, and that's a huge one to go back and review. And I think everyone wants the quick fix. Like, tell me what to do, right? But you've got to go back to that initial thing and like start thinking about the psychology of food, or like how we think about food, because I literally, like, there's meal plans on the internet. Like, you can just go Google it and like you can find a meal plan that's going to work. No problem. Just tell them to eat, perfect. And anyone can do that for a little bit of time, right? Just tell them what to eat, fine. But guess what? Like, if you don't address the underlying issues of why you're not eating more like that in the first place, like, you're always going to backslide back into it. So, it was great to see how many people showed up to that first session and like got all that information. You know what I mean? But then like, it's not fun. It's not sexy. Like, just having to like think about general food. Like, I think literally like human nature is like, just give me the quick fix. Like, just tell me what I need to do. Tell me what I need to do for the next 3 months. Tell me exactly how many calories. Tell me exactly how much. Just give me the food list and like tell me when to eat, when to work out. Boom, boom, boom. Like, that's fine. That's easy and it will work. But it's not that long-term solution. So, but dig back into that. Go back and dig back in, because that first session we did was all about, what can I add into my diet? Like, how am I really thinking about food? What's my approach? So, awesome. Well, thank you guys for being so committed through the whole session. If you guys have feedback, send me an email. Like, if there's things you think I could have done better, please let me know, so when we do it in the future. If there's, if you have ideas on ways, what could be more accommodating for schedules, right? If it was tricky for you guys to make turnout. I know a lot of you guys work out in the evenings, so if you have thoughts. If you don't work out in the evening and it was harder for you to make a lot of these sessions, let me know too. If there's more stuff we could put online, if that will get utilized just for in the future, if there's things we can do better, just let me know. So, all right, awesome guys. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.